Tell me ma, might not be home for tea, but I'll tell you what, that was an absolutely cracking win in a week where all I've heard is negative noise. The Chelsea Carabao Cup match votes come from Newcastle fans. So do us a favour and make sure you stick around. I might be home for tea actually. Not too sure, but fingers crossed I'm not just home for tea just yet. Welcome back, Black White Banter Newcastle fans, for Chelsea part 2 of 2 in 3 days. Look, I'm walking into town now. Tell you what, these midweek cup games about and just be sitting having me tea, having a cheeky little beer before I leave the house are lovely. Look, a lot of doom and gloom since Sunday, not just because of Sunday. I think Sunday, if we're all honest, was a little bit better than some of us expected. Chelsea weren't great, but deserved the 3 points. We struggled with certain chances, decision making, never got enough control, but I thought we were better. And on another day, if certain decisions were made better, not naming any names, Mr. Alexander Isak, it could have been a different day. And I think with perspective, the last 5 matches, October, we haven't won any games. I don't think it's been as bad as being made out. Yes, you can't hide away from no wins. That's not good enough. But Everton definitely should have won. Brighton should have been out of sight and dominated large spells. A bit of a smash and grab. What else has there been? Man City, we went toe-to-toe with them, one of the best teams in the world. It hasn't been as bad as being some quarters are making out, but it has to improve. And I don't care what any Newcastle fan says. Well, we all allowed our opinions, but these cup games are some of the biggest of our season. No European football tonight is huge. And what I put a bit of a rallying call out on my blog on Facebook this week, with 2 games in 3 days, was more the role that the crowd can play. Now, I know these cup matches can sometimes come with a slightly strange atmosphere because sometimes it can be more of a family day out. The Wimbledon game was awful. And that's no one's fault. That's just how it is. Like when Cher scored the penalty against Wimbledon, there was almost like a theatre cheer. There was nobody really celebrating. It was just weird. That's not what we need tonight. That really isn't what we need tonight. We know Chelsea's squad depth. We know how hard it's going to be. We need every single Newcastle fan to cheer every tackle, cheer every header, cheer every long bust and run into the corner. And that just transcends down to the players. And that gives us a bit of a 12th man. I don't think anyone can deny that. We've proved it. We've proved it against the likes of PSG. We have. That's how important the role we can play tonight is. I just hope everyone puts their frustration to one side a little bit and gets behind the lads. The team news has actually just dropped as I've left the house. That's how close I can leave it to kick off to get in on time for the match. I'm confident. Isak's in, Gordon's back, which is amazing. Tonali looks like he's going to play a central role, and I have talked a lot about that midfield 3 not working. If Tonali becomes more of a central figure tonight and it doesn't work, I will hold my hand up and say, maybe it's the player, maybe not so much him not being utilised where he has a bit more freedom to run the show. Let's see how he gets on. But I'm looking at Chelsea's team. Of course, it's incredible, but it's their second team, and I'm looking at who they're playing, players who don't play that many minutes from start to finish in the Premier League. And I feel like, the crowd behind us, everybody on point, everyone playing in tandem, like we started against Brighton, like for large spells against Man City, we can win tonight. And this puts us in a cup quarter-final if we can do it. Am I confident? I'm not too sure. Am I still going to go in with a lot of hope into this football match? Yes. And let's just fingers crossed, going to get over to St James's Park now. We can keep ourselves in that hat for the quarter-final. And with Arsenal on Saturday, get a bit of momentum back. I don't think things are as bad as what some quarters are making out. We just need a result to turn the tide a little bit. Plenty to be worked on, and let's hope it starts tonight. Away the lads! Now, here's a Chelsea Cup flashback for you. Does anybody remember Patrick Kluivert's header back in 2005 in the FA Cup? 1-0. Absolute peach of a header. Match almost got called off because of snow. Oh, that was a good day. Just a random flashback I just had there. That was one of the better days of that little Graham Souness post-Bobby Robson era. Took us all the way to the semi-finals. The less said about what happened in that FA Cup semi-final, the better. Get on the comments. Let us know whether you can remember that one. might not be home for tea. I mean, I am starving, but just put it on hold. Maybe stick it in the microwave. Maybe freeze it and I'll defrost it another day. Yes, that's right, because we live to fight another day. And before I get into that match, before I get into what feels like a bit of a season-defining moment when the going was really getting tough, on that note, I just want to say I've become very frustrated this week. Look, we all allow our opinions. We all allow to be frustrated that Newcastle have not won a game in October. Of course we are. We're not happy with the results. What fan would be with any level of ambition? But bearing in mind, we were good against Man City. We were unlucky against Everton. Brighton, a bit naive, but still not the worst performance, particularly in the first half. Some of the things, even today, on the day of the game, in my WhatsApp group, conversations about regression, about no progression, about transfer dealings being terrible, about us going backwards on the day of a cup game to get us in the quarter-final. We need to stick with our players a little bit more. We all allowed our opinions. Maybe some people watching this video aren't an Eddie Howe fan. That is totally fine. Completely fine. Maybe some Newcastle fans don't like Eddie Howe substitutions, but let's just stick with the team a little bit more like we know this great fan base does. And this week has just seemed, yes, Chelsea was frustrating, but it certainly wasn't the worst performance. And did we really expect anything? No. But I'll tell you what, if you were to offer me one win out of the two matches, Chelsea away in the league, or Chelsea at home in the cup, I would have snapped. And I said that on the way down to Chelsea on that last-minute flight. I said that on Sunday. Wow. Get in. And I'll tell you what, let's break that match down. Firstly, let's talk about the actual game and the big moments first. First half, I thought we grew into the match. From the first 10 minutes onwards, we were good in the press, but we were disciplined in the press, and that's important. Sometimes we all grumble in the stands if we aren't pressing every second. We have to remember we are playing against in some cases in Chelsea's ridiculous squad, £100 million players. We were disciplined in the press, and it was good, and it was working, and their goalkeeper could not handle it at times when we did it in the right way. We had dynamism. And obviously, Joe Linton has to put us 1-0 up. He doesn't. And then you're getting a little bit antsy. Enzo blasts one over the bar. And you're getting a little bit shaky because, you know, they've got a good squad out there. But we kept on going. We kept on going. And deservedly, we went 1-0 up. Deservedly. And it really, really was deserved. And it was brilliant. We just built from there. And, of course, I haven't seen the goals back yet. Of course, I haven't as I record this. But we got a little bit of luck with what looked like an own goal for the second one, and we just feel at that point like we're in dreamland. We really, really are. Getting in at half-time, wonderful, 2-0. Not too bothered by Chelsea from the moment we sort of scored. In at half-time, look, second half, did we want to see ourselves drop as much as we did there? No, probably not. But, you know, we have to accept that we are playing against a very, very good Chelsea squad, and I'll get to that in a second, why I keep saying squad. They were always going to have the moments. And I think Eddie Howe, I could be wrong on this, he probably set us up to play a little bit more counter-attack. And we digged in, and it's not nice to watch when you're in the stands. Of course, it makes you a little bit shaky. Of course, it makes you a little bit nervous. But we chipped away. And then some of the substitutes, has Eddie Howe got his substitutes wrong in recent matches? I would argue yes. Asula, look, he's learning all the time, and I think Eddie Howe's biggest mistake sometimes can be that he's not learning fast enough. Asula has not seen many minutes for this Newcastle team this season in the league, when we haven't really had many options in that department. Gordon's played there a lot. Asula was exactly what we needed when the going got a little bit tough. I thought Livramento coming on offered us zip and drive down that right-hand side, and Bruno, well, you know, we'll talk about team selections and where and what not maybe to do going into that Arsenal game on Saturday. But Bruno came on like a man who wasn't overly happy to have been dropped, and he was pulling out the skills. He was winning free kicks like we know that he can do better than no player in this team. And I thought the subs were bang on, and we got over the line. Did we have half chances? Asula hits the post. Chelsea kept on pumping ball after ball after ball after ball into the box. And did they cause Nick Pope too many problems? I don't think so. But when Nick Pope was called upon, apart from a couple of shaky moments, he got over the line. So let's now talk about team selection. I have been saying, whether it's in my written blogs, whether it's on videos just Sunday gone, that I am really worried that the midfield three of Joe Linton, Bruno and Tonali, that we all dreamed about being wonderful, is what is hampering us a little bit in being very much the same of the same, very much slow in transition, very, very much a bit blurred between Bruno and Tonali, that centre to that right. And I'm not going to jump the gun. This is one match, and those three still need to learn to play together after Toonarmy's been away for 9 months. But what I've noticed tonight is what I thought. And when I saw the team going into tonight's match as I walked down, I was happy to see Willock in. Anyone who watches my videos knows I'm a big fan, if he can stay fit. And I was interested to see Toonarmy in that central role. We know what Toonarmy's got in the locker. He can pick a pass. He sees a pass before he even receives the ball. Bruno's got the same sort of capabilities in that regard. But I think Eddie Howe going into Arsenal on Saturday has got a really big decision to make, because what I saw of a balance of almost taking it back to the old school of Joe Linton and Willock down that left-hand side was athleticism. But the fact that Willock could also come in and support us and drive us out, and we know he's an athlete, we got a better balance tonight than what I have seen all season so far, since Toonarmy's come back anyway. And I'm now leaning on the side of the fence after what I've witnessed tonight against good opposition, that Newcastle have got to start playing one or the other in Bruno Toonarmy. And I'm not saying there isn't a system that suits them both, but in this 4-3-3 that Eddie Howe loves to play, and to be fair, we did drop into a 5 in midfield for large parts of tonight, I felt, with Gordon and Joe Linton and Willock on that left-hand side. It was 5, and that was nice. We did adapt a little bit in that way to suit Chelsea's sort of overloaded midfield in some areas. But I really, really think Eddie Howe has to give some serious thought to it maybe being a case of one of the other. Bruno's a fantastic footballer on his day. Toonarmy, for me, looked pretty steady tonight. I still don't see we've seen the high, intense Toonarmy that we saw against Aston Villa at the start of last season when he was banging headers in, making runs into the box and getting shots off for fun. He came close a couple of times tonight. But I just think there was a balance there tonight of athleticism from Joey and Willock, the invention from Toonarmy, and the first touch, the vision from Toonarmy. And then Longstaff, let's talk about him. He came in, a lot of Newcastle fans are not a big Longstaff fan. We know that. I don't need to tell you that. None of us are ever going to claim that he's the next Iniesta. Longstaff wouldn't claim he's the next Iniesta. I would even go as far as saying Longstaff wouldn't claim that he's anywhere near Toonarmy or Bruno in terms of his ability. But what I will say... Bonjour, sir. Get in. Get in. What I will say is that Longstaff tonight knows his role. If there is one player in an Eddie Howe system, bearing in mind he's been a starter for Eddie Howe for what, 2.5, 3 years now, he knows his role. And I thought he put the graft in tonight. He didn't pull up any trees. I thought he was good in the press. He had energy because he didn't start on Saturday. And I just saw a better balance tonight. Do we now look to go back to Joe Linton and Willock on that left-hand side? I would argue no, because I didn't like Anthony Gordon on the right. We lost something there tonight. But I just think he's got some serious things to think about. We know certain positions. We know Alexander Isak's going to play up front. Of course he is. We know Anthony Gordon in his best position is going to be on the left. But that central area is where I think we are not scoring goals and we are not creating enough. And I saw a balance with Joe Willock, if that man can stay fit, and Toonarmy and Bruno. And do you know what? Worst case scenario, some Newcastle fans might be saying, how can we pick between two of them? They both should be playing. I understand that argument, and that's for Eddie Howe to continue figuring out. But what I would also say is what I saw tonight in Bruno was a man who came on, he wanted to impress. The skills were out. He was making runs, he was flicks, there was fancy turns. And like we've seen with Isak and Wilson, they might get the best out of each other fighting for a central role. And healthy competition in any good squad is not a bad thing. And whilst we're on team selection, let's give some honourable shout-outs, because I think there's a couple of names in there that I wouldn't always mention. First one for me goes out to Lewis Hall. I've just put a jokey post about him giving the finger to his ex-employers as they head on the last train to King's Cross with a couple of their players in his back pocket. Absolutely brilliant. That was arguably for me one of Lewis Hall's best performances for Newcastle before he got subbed off, and he deserved that round of applause as he walked round. He could be turning in to potentially, if he keeps going the way he is, one of England's options at left back. You know, you're looking at the World Cup, 2 years away. He looks a very solid option. I thought he was brilliant tonight. Second shout out for me is a man, when he plays, that we continue giving shout outs for. And I think it goes under the radar how often we talk about him positively when he comes in. Emil Kraft. He's not going to pull up trees in that forward position for you, but my God, is he steady as hell from a defensive point of view. And I can see why he gets his caps for Sweden. Emil Kraft tonight didn't really do much wrong in a Newcastle shirt at all. I thought Lloyd Kelly looked good coming in. I think we know there's a player in there. He's just got to fight for that position. And when Botman comes back, that's a really difficult one to fight for. But Bournemouth fans sang his praises, and I think it's centre-back he looks so much more comfortable than left-back. we could have a player in there. Not a bad free transfer if he keeps coming in and playing like that. Midfield, Tonali, I thought he was good. I still think, as I've said earlier, we're going to see a bit more. And Joe Linton looked a lot more comfortable on that left-hand side with more of an emphasis on attack rather than mopping everything up in midfield. There's food for thought. Those are my honourable shout-outs tonight. I'm absolutely over the moon. I am. We've got Arsenal on Saturday, which is going to be a very, very, very difficult game with a short turnaround and an early kick-off on Saturday as well. But more of the same from every single Newcastle fan inside that stadium and watching anywhere in the world tonight. Let's keep the faith in the boys, and you just never know. After a barren run, and every team goes through them, maybe Eddie Howe's learned some things tonight. I really, really hope he has. Maybe even with substitutes, he's learned, like the likes of Asula, who can maybe come in and do more of a job than maybe he first had faith. That favourites tag will stick with Eddie Howe, and maybe that needs to come away a little bit. But onwards and upwards we go. The draw for the next round is in the next half an hour. As I'm recording this, Manchester City are getting beat. Long may that continue. I think Palace have gone through. Man United, look at 6 and 7s, they've gone through. But let's not underestimate being in a cup quarter-final and beating a team, a squad. And the reason I said that at the start of this post-match reaction is because we all look envious at Chelsea's squad. But sometimes when you put 11 players who've never played together, whether it's a £100 million player or a 50 pence player, you don't get a team, it's a squad. And I thought Chelsea were very, very poor for the amount of money spent on that team out there tonight. Team spirit goes a long way, and I think these players are still playing for our manager. Newcastle fans, if you've liked this match, sorry there was no fan interviews. Everybody disappeared. Everyone disappeared really quick to get home, probably to watch the cup draw or to the pub. Lucky them. Whack that like, whack that follow, whack that subscribe. I'm at the Arsenal game on Saturday. There's always videos where I get opportunity coming out, and there'll be a last word blog on all social media to talk about this game in a bit more depth. So get me across all socials as well. Go and enjoy your evening, because October has ended on a high, and my God, does it feel good to be in the next round for that draw. Tell me, ma, I might not be home for tea. Oh, yeah, lads.